Universal Century, 0079. 10 months in, and the one-year war shows no signs of stopping. In the jungles of Southeast Asia, young ensign Shiro Amada leads a team of advanced mobile suits against the invading Principality of Sion. As the war escalates further and further, will the people of the 8th Mobile Suit Team make it out with their lives? Furthermore, will Shiro have what it takes to fulfill his duty after falling in love with the enemy? Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS Team, is a 12-episode OVA series that I hold in very high regard. Released from 1996 to 1999, it's the third OVA series to take place in Gundam's big money-making Universal Century timeline. While the series takes place during the one-year war, as seen in Mobile Suit Gundam, 8th MS Team largely tells its own story, offering a common soldier's perspective that you just don't get from the White Base crew. As for me, I'm here to talk about it, what it does right, what it does not so right, and anything about it I find interesting, to be honest. Enjoy. Right from the start, 8th MS Team comes in swinging with a damn good opening. Shine in the Storm by Chihiro Yonakura is exactly the kind of sickeningly sweet pop I can picture a soldier playing at base camp to temporarily forget about how shit his life is. Not to mention, the lyrics themselves are surprisingly relevant to the actual show. Definitely helps that the song itself is just really good too. Comparing it to other Gundam intro songs, I wouldn't quite put it beside The Winner, but it's definitely Zeta transcending time tier, at least. For the uninitiated, I'm saying it's good. It's very good. The highlight of this intro, hell, the highlight of the whole show, is definitely the animation. For a full minute and a half, we are treated to some absolutely beautifully animated shots. Soldiers in foxholes, enormous battle tanks cresting over a hill, a Gundam fording a river or using its shield as a stand for its sniper rifle, a gun tank that's been repurposed into an armored recovery vehicle pulling a knocked out Gundam out of the ground, all building up to the climax of the song, a big flashy mobile suit airdrop. It doesn't establish much about the characters, but I wouldn't say it's just spectacle for spectacle's sake. Everything comes together to give a very strong first impression. Right away, it tells you that this is a story portraying a grounded depiction of the one-year war, and the bonds of brotherhood that form between soldiers amidst the worst of times. Does the show itself live up to this first impression? Mostly. We'll get to that. Episode 1 begins in space. Our protagonist, Side 2 native Shiro Amada, is but one of many soldiers being shuttled planetside to help the beleaguered Federation fight off Zeon's occupation of Earth. Everyone's chatting, playing cards, shooting the shit until explosions are sighted outside the ship. A Federation gym is just outside, getting mauled to death by an upgraded Zaku 2. The transport shuttle isn't built for combat, and its best bet for survival is to just get the hell out of Dodge and leave that pilot to his fate. Shiro isn't so easily dissuaded. He asks the captain for permission to use the shuttle's RB-79K ball to smoke that Zeke and save the gym pilot. If you know anything about Gundam, you probably know that the ball doesn't have the greatest track record against mobile suits, or mobile armors, or anything, really. But for as much of an impulsive retard Shiro Amada may be, he's also equally wily. From challenging a Zaku in a ball, hell, challenging a Zaku on foot, to engaging the enemy's flying experimental superweapon in melee combat, Shiro ends up in a lot of situations a much wiser man probably wouldn't have ever been in to begin with. As an old type, he doesn't have the enhanced senses that border on precognition that other UC protagonists do. He only has his wits to fall back on. He makes a hiding spot and lies in wait until he gets a shot at the Zaku's groin to down it. He unloads his Gundam's chest Vulcan into the target at point-blank range, and here, he shields himself with scrap metal until he's close enough to restrain the Zaku with his ball's winch, buying the gym pilot enough time to get the hell out of there. It's not a completely decisive victory. Both the Zaku and the ball are destroyed in the ensuing melee, but both Shiro and the Zaku's operator, Zeon test pilot Aina Sakhalin, are able to bail out and continue shooting at one another in a derelict spaceship. The gunfight doesn't last long. Aina runs out of ammo, and Shiro isn't interested in finishing her off. The bigger priority is figuring out how the hell they're gonna go back to their respective people before they run out of air. Aina's reluctant to work with a dirty Fetty, but Shiro's able to ease the tension and show her he really means no harm. By working together and detonating a supply of nuclear warheads stashed on the derelict, they're able to make a big enough boom to get the attention of help. Aina is picked up by a duo of Zakus, although not before Shiro forgets to bring back the watch she had given him, and Shiro is brought back to the shuttle by the gym he had saved earlier. Episode 1's a strong start, in my opinion at least. It isn't terribly action-packed, but it does a very good job introducing our two main characters, and it sets up the soon-to-develop romance between them quite nicely. For a series set primarily on Earth, the space combat between the Ball and the Zaku High Mobility Test Type looks damn good, and I really like how everyone's sort of looking out for each other. Shiro sees the gym pilot in trouble and immediately sorties in a spherical orange death trap to help him. The gym pilot is recovered and immediately goes, "Holy shit, is that guy okay? We gotta go back for him." Shiro stops trying to fight Aina the moment she stops being a threat, and starts coming up with a way to get out of the derelict. It's human nature for people to help each other when in need, regardless of the circumstances, so it's just nice to see. I touched on it before, but holy shit, this show looks good. Gundam, the 8th MS team, is a very well animated show. Definitely up there among the better animated Gundams, only losing out to actual feature-length movies in Stardust Memory, an early OVA series well known for being animated by a cabal of wizards. Look it up. I lack the technical know-how to get into every single aspect of the animation and why it's good. I'll just let the background footage speak for itself on that one. But one aspect I will touch on is the sense of sheer weight the mobile suits have. In some shows, the mobile suits spend all their time on Earth flying around on base jabbers, or with thrusters so powerful they can just fly around as easily as they can in space. Zip and Zoom 0G beam tag is cool, but it doesn't always sell the image that these are big-ass robots killing each other. Everyone's souls might be weighed down by gravity, but their mobile suits sure as hell aren't. In 8th MS team, the mobile suits really feel like huge multi-ton war machines. They shake the ground as they walk. They collapse buildings and plow through trees. When two mobile suits engage in close combat, it quickly devolves into a violent, disorganized brawl. A lot of the action scenes feel more like actual honest-to-God war than a conventional mecha battle. When a suit goes down, it usually doesn't explode into nothing like they often do in the TV shows, they just drop. War in the Pocket, another beautifully animated OVA, did this too, and honestly, it's way more visceral than when they just go kaboom. Of course, as good as the animation is, an ugly robot in motion is still an ugly robot. Thankfully, the robots in 8th MS team are anything but. Accompanying the animation is a very strong sense of design, not just for the mobile suits, but for the world in general. The machines are detailed as hell, and often have all sorts of accessories hanging off of them. Spare magazines, battle damage, nudie posters on the inside. Everything feels like it has a story behind it. The star of the show is the RX-79G Gundam Ground Type. This is the mobile suit used by Shiro Amada and the rest of the 8th team throughout the series. When the original RX-78 Gundam was thought lost after the misunderstanding on Side 7, The Earth Federation took all the spare parts they had for it on Earth and Frankensteined these things together so they could at least have something on the front lines. Just from a glance you can tell it's no heroic super prototype. It's a big, blocky piece of shit, absolutely covered in guns, greebles, and doohickeys. It trades the gaudy and marketable cyan, white, and red for a more subtle gray and navy blue. And unlike the one-of-a-kind RX-78, you see whole squads of ground types stomping around. Despite the complexity of the design, you can tell everything serves a purpose. It lacks the twin Vulcans most Gundams have on their heads, trading them for a big fuck-off chain gun in its chest. Its shield is smaller, and it can be used to bludgeon enemies in hand-to-hand combat. If its default selection of weapons isn't enough, its back can mount a large container filled with even more mobile suit-sized armaments. Hell, it even has a unique set of equipment for desert missions. During Episode 6, you see the ground type equipped with a desert filter over its one chest vent and canvas to protect the joints, kinda like the planes refitted for the North African front in World War II. All of these features can easily make for an over-designed, tactical mess of a mobile suit, but it all comes together to make one of my favorite Gundam designs. Its silhouette isn't overly complex or flashy, and it's not trying to be. None of the many components and subsystems wrestle your attention from the broad shoulders, stoic samurai face, and signature V crest that leave no room for error that this is unquestionably the Mobile Suit Gundam. Rather, everything comes together to build an identity of a Gundam built for the realities of the battlefield. Like the M2 Bradley, it might be blocky, kind of ugly, and carrying enough firepower to level half of Jaburo, but by God will it get the job done. One distinct problem of the Gundam ground type is, owing to its nature as an amalgamation of spare parts, it lacks any spare parts of its own. So when Shiro Amada's Gundam is completely totaled halfway through the series, it has to be rebuilt from the ground up into a totally unique mobile suit, the EZ-8. Named after the M4A3E8, this thing's an even bigger departure from the core Gundam design. Compared to the ground type, the EZ-8 feels like a much more optimized machine. A lot of the ground type's more situational features, like the retractable periscope and chest-mounted chain gun, have been omitted in favor of extra armor and more conventional head-mounted Vulcans. It has an even more muted color scheme, cream and black with striking red eyes. Its blocky head completely lacks the Gundam's V-crest, a first for the franchise. Instead, one large antenna and robust ears give off the image of a soldier wearing a communication headset. This is no longer just some ground-pounding grunt rushed into mass production. This is the personal suit of Shiro Amada, leader of the 8th Team and career military man. It's also white, which is what the word Shiro means in Japanese. Fitting, if I do say so myself. Floating down from the side of Zeon is the Apsaras, the imposing mobile armor Aina serves as the test pilot for, and the personal pet project of her brother, Ginias. The Apsaras is pretty interesting, and there's a kind of duality between it and the Gundam ground type I want to talk about. As previously covered, the ground type is a fairly realistic, grounded design, with all sorts of built-in weapons and accessories to keep it tactically flexible on the battlefield. The Apsaras, on the other hand, is a fucking UFO. It is literally the opposite of grounded. The whole system is built around a single enormous mega-particle cannon, meant to tunnel through the Earth and level the Federation HQ deep underground at Jaburo. Zeon tried dropping a colony on Jaburo back when the war started, but they kinda missed. Unfortunately for Ginias, the Apsaras is shot at time and time again by our brave heroes, and it spends more time in the repair bay than in the field. This culminates in a Gundam ground type piloted by one very reckless ensign, leaping onto it and fighting it as it tries to escape an ambush. Just like Shiro's ground type, the Apsaras gets trashed and is rebuilt completely, while the Gundam is further optimized into the EZ-8, a mobile suit that symbolizes Shiro's role as commander of the 8th Team. The Apsaras 3 is one giant culmination of Zeon's love of spending money on dumbass wonder weapons that never work. It's a borderline incomprehensible monster. Its 3 stabilizing legs make it look like some sort of fucked up alien tripod or jellyfish. And the funny Zaku head on the first iterations has been nearly completely subsumed into this enormous weapon system that can cause ludicrous destruction. If we want to get really symbolic, it even goes from a single-seater, piloted only by Aina, to a two-seater with Gineas himself as the co-pilot. Almost as if he's trying to keep her growing sense of independence in check. Ultimately, and completing my little comparison between them, both the EZ-8 and the Apsaras 3 end up destroying one another. Poetic in a way. The other mobile suits in this show are by and large variants and redesigns of existing designs seen in 0079. GM ground type's earthy colors and blockier build sells them as a cut-down, earlier iteration of the GM derived from the ground type Gundam. The Zaku's proportions are redone, making them look like imposing, threatening invaders. But the presence of battle damage and looted enemy components remind us that, by this part of the war, it's Zeon that's on the back foot. The Goof Custom... We'll talk about the Goof Custom later. There's other mobile suits too, but for the sake of time, I'll just say they all look great, for reasons I've discussed already. The mecha look great, but what about the people? I like them. Compared to Stardust Memory's more realistic looking characters, the 8MS team has a somewhat more anime look for its people. The show is, by and large, pretty lighthearted, despite it being about robots in the Vietnam War, and the designs reflect this. It's on the more realistic end of the spectrum, but the faces are expressive, some people have big, wild 80s hair, and everyone just kinda looks cute. To tell the truth, the style kinda reminds me of early season Pokemon. Not as goofy, but something I kinda see in my head. There isn't much variety in clothing, seeing as it's war and everyone's in a uniform, but there is some variation. Given the hot weather and just how bad the fighting's gotten, not everyone's dressed up to code. And you can get a feel for a character's personality based on how they wear their standard issue EFF or Zeon uniform. The show's soundtrack is done by Kohei Tanaka, a composer best known for his work on One Piece. By and large, it's pretty standard robot action background ambience, but with a distinctly military flair. Lots of snare drums, lots of brass. Copyright God willing, it's what you'll be hearing throughout the video. There are a couple standout tracks though. Those Who Live There is a bombastic electric guitar hype fest that plays when the Gundams are getting up to some cool shit. And the sexy saxophone that plays while Shiro and Aina are getting to know each other in the derelict is notable if only for how unsubtle it is. None of the tracks are unfitting, and they never conflict with what's going on in the show to take you out of it. In fact, they're actually pretty good at using the music to enhance what's happening on screen. As for non-music audio, I have nothing to complain about. The sound effects do a great job selling that sense of weight I was talking about before. These mobile suits shake the ground as they walk, and every action is accompanied by dozens of itty-bitty parts whirring together. When the action kicks off, it's properly loud as fuck. The voice acting is all good. All the voices fit the characters. I'm no voice actor or audio guy, so I don't really have anything nuanced to add here, but I like it when Shiro Amada yells. He's funny. Now, we've talked about the animation, the mechanical design, the sound effects, and the music, but it's been a while since we talked about Shiro. How's he doing on Earth? He seems happy. I don't want this video to be a quote-unquote retrospective, where I just read the entire plot off a Wikipedia article. If you want a more detailed summary of the show's plot, I'd recommend you just watch it. Please, I'm serious. Please, watch it. Please. Once Shiro arrives on Earth, the show is largely an episodic affair. There's a kind of secondary plot surrounding the development of the Apsaras, and of course the entire rest of the One-Year War happening in the background as well. But it's not terribly important for now. The meat and potatoes of this show comes from our characters in the 8th MS team. Seeing their personalities bounce off one another, seeing them help one another through personal problems, and seeing them develop from a bunch of randos who don't really know or care about one another to a truly formidable unit. We've already seen Ensign Shiro Amada, but within the context of the team, he's a character with 3 often conflicting priorities. Kill Zeeks, save friends, do Aina. As a citizen of the former side too, Shiro wants nothing more than to make Zeon pay. This can lead to bouts of crazy reckless behavior, which you might think conflicts with his second priority of keeping his teammates alive, but I don't quite think so. This is largely my personal interpretation, so take it with a grain of salt if you wish, but considering the prior 10 months of brutal war, and the fact he could only helplessly watch as his own home colony got flooded with nerve gas, I genuinely think Shiro Amada might be a little suicidal. He's not an active threat to his own well-being like some Gundam protags are, but the way he throws himself into situations to save others, regardless of how he may end up, definitely has me wondering if he's got some kind of death wish. Lastly, of course, we have Aina. She's an enemy combatant, a soldier of the same army that caused him a whole colony's worth of trauma, but Zeon or not, he still wants her. Shiro's a great protagonist. He's fun to watch, he's a nice guy, and he develops quite a lot as the story progresses. I like him. As for the other members of the 8th MS team, Mikkel was a fellow passenger of the shuttle in the first episode. He's kind of an incompetent coward, but he's brave when it matters. I don't have much to say about him, but one thing to mention is that his frequent writing to his girlfriend back home provides a sort of commentary on the current events for us, the viewer. Sergeant Terry Sanders Jr., the unlucky gym pilot from the beginning, is transferred to Shiro's team after his squad got wiped out by Aina's Zaku. He's a good guy, and very grateful to Shiro for saving his life. But his past of being the only survivor of his last squad leaves him with a huge sense of survivor's guilt, and a very unfortunate nickname, Sanders the Reaper. Master Chief Karen Joshua is... wow. Wow. Sorry, I don't know what came over me. Karen's a tough-as-nails, no-nonsense hard-ass. She's been in this war for months and has no time for inexperienced idiot ensigns who don't know the realities of war. Earning her trust is arguably Shiro's main hurdle in episode 2, but once he's proved himself, she becomes a loyal second-in-command. She's bad as fuck. Lastly, we've got Corporal Elidor Massis. At first, he might seem like a flamboyant douchebag who's more focused in developing a career as a singer than the actual war he's fighting, and, well, yeah, he is. His claustrophobia prevents him from piloting a mobile suit, but he's damn capable in the team's recon truck with Mikkel. Each Gundam may have a shiny pair of glowy green eyes, but Elidor is the ears of the whole team. He later develops feelings for Karen and helps save her life when she's in a jam. Lucky. While technically not part of the Federation or the 8th team, you've also got Kiki. She's the daughter of the leader of guerrillas operating from a nearby village, and she's introduced in episode 2 when Shiro sees her skinny dipping in a lake. This peeping Tomari gets him shot at, and in the next episode captured in the middle of a vital operation. But she vouches for his release, probably because she likes him. Afterwards, she becomes a reoccurring character, helping the 8th team in any way a robotless child soldier can. Kiki's pretty funny. I don't mind her. We have a couple notable characters on the Zeon side too, mostly people involved with the Apsaras project. Aina's the test pilot, a good soldier and loyal to her brother to the point of dependency, but her encounter with Shiro is making her wonder if there can be more to her life. Her brother Gineas is the head of the Apsaras project, and Aina's only living family member. He seems like a decent guy at first, but when his ambitions get threatened, he shows an increasingly unstable side. He seems to be dying of space AIDS too, which explains his behavior a little bit. Not entirely though, he's mostly just a dick. Lastly, we've got Aina's bodyguard, Norris Packard. At first, you think he's just some high-ranking Xeon goon, but as the show progresses, we see he's an honorable guy, and he acts as a sort of surrogate father figure to Aina in her time of need. He's a lot like Rambaral, actually. In more ways than one! We'll talk about him more later. These first 6 episodes are some serious top-quality stuff. We see Shiro, a relative newbie, earn the trust of his team in a chaotic night battle. When Sanders' survivor's guilt gets too much for him, and he tries to quit the team, Shiro's ride or die, and together they fight off the Apsaras and break his death jinx. At the end of episode 6, as Shiro and Aina finally realize it's each other they're fighting, a distraught 8th MS team can only watch as the Apsaras soars out of control, with Shiro's Gundam on it.
どこに行っちまったのさ。
Wow, that's a strong start. It doesn't tell a lengthy, complicated story, but it's not trying to. The characters are great. The action's amazing. Karen's ass is phenomenal. The way things are going, it might just be the greatest Gundam series ever, right? Well... Between episodes 6 and 7, series director Takeyuki Kanda fucking died. I'm not making this up. I don't know what specifically happened. I've heard anecdotes that it was a car accident or something, but I couldn't find anything definitive. Regardless, they had to find a replacement to fill the now vacant directorial position. The reason I'm telling you this is because the difference between the first and second halves of this show is very, very noticeable. Stranded on a mountain, there's not much for Shiro and Aina to do but wait for rescue. Thankfully, our ever-resourceful ensign uses his wrecked Gundam's beam saber to melt out a nice little hot tub just for the two of them. I'll let you imagine what they do together in the meantime. This episode makes it very clear that Shiro and Aina's romance is now the primary focus of this show. Some people hate this, but I don't mind that much. Individually, they're great characters, and together I think they're pretty cute. It's just sudden, though. Of course, I expected the relationship between Shiro and Aina to develop now that they're reunited. I'm no idiot. But what I didn't expect is for that relationship to develop at breakneck fucking speed. In a mere 9 minutes, they already reached the I love you, I hate my brother now phase of their relationship, and I expected that to take a week or two at least. Regardless, our protagonists are rescued from Mount Romance and return to their respective sides. And I can't lie, this is where the show kinda does start to lose me. It's still great, don't get me wrong, very pretty looking. But a lot of the character stuff I praised the show for kinda starts to go away. The second half of the series features a sort of mass character-focused die-off, with most of the 8th team feeling more like side characters. I wouldn't call any of these episodes bad. 8, for example, is a pretty great showing, with a Xeon supply run at Kiki's village going tragically wrong. But it's also the perfect example of what I'm talking about. After this episode, with her father killed and her village nearly wiped out, Kiki's just gone from the rest of the show. There is also that scene where he takes out that Zaku one on foot. Him taking cover until he can ambush it from below with a rocket launcher was pretty cool. And I'd argue it's possible to see where the machine gun is pointing and when its finger starts to pull the trigger so you can move away, given just how big the Zaku is. But the fact he was able to avoid bullets the size of his chest without turning to sludge from the shockwave is questionable. Arguing about the realism of a giant anime robot show aside, there is still lots of good here. Shiro Amada's character develops into somebody who's thoroughly sick of the war. His meetup with Aina earned him a court-martial for treason when he got back. Personally getting to know someone on the other side and seeing his own superiors in the Federation accuse him of collaborating with the enemy has thoroughly disillusioned him, and he no longer knows if he can even shoot at the enemy anymore, which makes it all the more tragic when he does have to kill the pilot of that previously mentioned Zaku 1 later in the episode. Other characters do get their moments too, albeit rarely. The scene where Karen gets thrashed by that eye guy was genuinely suspenseful, and I honestly thought Elidor was gonna die saving her there. But as the Federation starts to properly mobilize for a big push against Ginias's base, it really feels like everybody who isn't Shiro, Aina, or Ginias just kinda gets their characterization smothered by this escalating military operation. Man, I'm really bummed out by how this is turning out. It started so good, but I think it's over. Why even bother watching? Did you know that they made a light novel adaptation of this show, and in it, Kiki gets kidnapped by some Federation soldiers and gang? Holy shit! This is one of the coolest scenes in the show. Hell, it's one of the coolest scenes in all of Gundam. I'm completely biased when I say this, by the way. Here's my Gunpla collection. Gundam. Episode 10, The Shuddering Mountain, is so incredibly fucking raw that it makes this show's entire second half worth it. And I'm gonna tell you all about it. The Federation forces have Ginias's base under siege. The new and improved Apsaras 3 is being readied, but an uncertain future awaits all the souls in the base. Aina wants them all evacuated in a Zanzibar-class medevac ship, Kurgarin, but with the amount of guns the Federation has pointed at them, there's no way a big, slow ship like the Kurgarin can make it out. That's where Norris Packard comes in. He knows the odds are against him. He knows he isn't coming back alive. But Aina needs him. He gets in his goof, and he sets out. The 8th MS team is in charge of guarding 3 mass-produced gun tanks as they shell Ginias's position. If even one of the gun tanks is still operational, the Kurgarin won't be able to launch. Right away, we see just what kind of pilot Norris really is. He fought Shiro before in a Zaku to less than stellar results, but in this Goof Custom, the coolest mobile suit ever by the way, his skills as an ace pilot are truly allowed to shine. Norris uses his Goof's heat rod to stop his fall down an empty building, letting him avoid the shot Sanders was leading to intercept him and giving him a clear shot at the first gun tank. 1 down, 2 to go. Norris isn't winning a shooting match against Karen and her gym-headed Gundam's beam rifle.
For more information on the whereabouts of Karen's original head, please refer to episode 9.
So he uses his shield-mounted Gatling gun to stir up a cloud of dust, letting him get close enough to disarm her Gundam and shoulder tackle her into a building. Before she even knows it, the Goof has already lobotomized the second gun tank. Motor oil splattered all over its face and sword. When the Goof reaches Shiro, you can tell our hero is desperate. He's on the back foot against an opponent just as cunning and far more experienced than he is. In an effort to secure some kind of initiative, he goes all out, unloading all of his guns as he slides down a column, and missing every single shot. Turns out it's better to be stationary if you want your accuracy to be worth a damn. He just barely manages to shield the gun tank from return fire, but his gambit just cost him the last of his ammo against an enemy far too aggressive to let him reload. He loses control over his Gundam's left arm, and an electrical shock from his opponent's heat rod causes his whole suit to shut down. This is it. Immobile, in the dark, completely at the mercy of the enemy ace. Demoted from squad leader to enemy meat shield. It's in this darkness where he's finally hit by a much-needed desire for self-preservation. If he dies here, the woman he spent so long fighting for will be lost to him forever. For the sake of his friends, for the sake of her, he wants to live. He has to live.
俺は生きたいお目覚めか
He's lost it. What can I say? But at least he's finally honest about what he really wants. Finally, we're at the climax. Norris realizes just who it is he's fighting. He's not just gonna kill Aina's lover, but he still needs to see this mission through till the end. He charges the EZ-8, its beam saber cleanly slicing through the Goof's cockpit, and giving it a clear shot at the last gun tank. Norris Packard won this fight. He died, but with all 3 gun tanks scrapped, the Kurgan can lift off safely. Even Shiro takes a minute to salute the sheer audacity of the man. This episode was spectacular, and it makes the viewer wonder, if I kill my girlfriend's stepfather with a sword, does that count as getting his approval? We're finally here. The place called Climax, the time called now. The Shuddering Mountain, Part 2, marks Episode 4 of Guinea's huge crash-out over the Apsaris project getting cancelled back in Episode 7. Since then, he's been a busy boy, killing the general who ordered the cancellation, working the men under his command to the bone to finish the Apsaris 3 in time, killing off the Apsaris' other engineers so the glory is his alone, violating a ceasefire with the EFF and getting the Kurgan shot down by some gym snipers. And when Aina refuses to take part in his crazed schemes any longer, he shoots her in the chest. She's okay, her watch stopped the bullet, and she's again reunited with Shiro. But the only way they're escaping this damn war together is if Guineas bites it. And bite it he does, punched into non-existence by the EZ-8 as the Apsaris tastefully explodes behind a mountain. Just like that, 8th MS team is over. It stumbled a bit after the middle, but I think it came to its own near the end. Wait, no, hold on, wait. There's another episode? Episode 12's a weird one. It takes place years after the war, and it follows Mikkel as he searches for Shiro. He and Aina have been missing ever since the Battle of the Shuddering Mountain, and with the war over, the remaining members of 8th Team have all gone their separate ways. Mikkel's girlfriend left him for another man, leaving him an alcoholic bum who has to rely on Kiki's help for the search. Kiki! She's back! See, guys? It's not all bad. Their search leads them to a hideout of freaky new-type kids from the Flanagan Institute, old holdouts from the One-Year War who Shiro and Aina have run into themselves. We even see them pull an old trick from Episode 7, using a downed Gelgu's beam glaive to melt a hot spring through the ice. At last, at the very end, Mikkel and Kiki are finally reunited with their old commander. He's missing a leg, but seeing how Aina's pregnant, it looks like he's still intact where it counts. A happy ending! You really don't see those in Gundam shows that often. I skipped through a lot of the stuff with the kids, despite it being the main part of the episode, really. Like I said in the beginning, I don't want this video to be a summary, and this episode especially I think you can only really get if you go ahead and see it yourself. It is a bit odd, and it may seem like it has nothing to do with the rest of the show, but it's a nice ending. The show may be over, but 8th MS Team doesn't quite end here. In 1998, we have Miller's Report, a compilation film of episodes 6 to 8 with a couple added scenes. This is the part where I'd include my super nuanced opinion of the movie and its themes and stuff, but I haven't seen it. Sorry. Battle in Three Dimensions is a 2013 short that came with the show's Blu-ray box set. The Goof flight type's an incredibly cool design that kinda got shafted in the show, only being seen escorting the Apsaras 3 and later getting shot down by the gym snipers. Here, though, he gets an action scene all to himself, set between episodes 8 and 9. 14 years is a long time, and you can see just how much animation technology has improved by how clean everything looks. The Goof spends the beginning of the fight with the clear advantage, weaving around the easy 8 shots and hiding under a bridge to come back up at a different angle. With some quick thinking from Mikkel, Shiro is able to know exactly where the Goof will be coming up to attack, and he shoots off its gun accordingly. With the Easy 8 having the advantage in a melee fight, and the Goof's engines too waterlogged for it to escape, the fight doesn't last much longer. It's a great short. I liked seeing the cool but otherwise mobile suit get a chance in the spotlight, and it's always a treat seeing these characters again. It's a shame they couldn't get a hold of Karen's voice actress, though. If they did, she probably wouldn't have spent the whole fight knocked on her ass. Throughout this video, I hope I've made my stance on Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS team, very clear. I love this show. I've watched a decent amount of Gundam, and while 8th MS isn't my favorite, it's certainly the one I have the most fun talking about. We don't often get this sort of common soldier's perspective, and it helps flesh out the wider conflict of the 1-year war. It's a show with a lot of style, and strong enough writing to back that style up. 12 episodes is short for a series, but it's paced well, and with the very noticeable exception of the main romantic plot, it never feels rushed or like it's wasting your time. If I had to assign this show an arbitrary number, first half gets 8.5, then it goes down to 7, and then the Goof walks in and breaks the scales back like Bane, and then it goes back down to a tasteful 8.5 for the end. What did you think of the show? What about it, if anything, stood out to you? Why do you think Aina's hair is green? If you liked this video, be sure to discuss all this and more in the comments below.